Hi, and welcome to Scissors and Scrubs. This is Laura, only Laura. We recorded a New Year's episode, and it was great, really funny, about New Year's resolutions, the main two, losing weight and smoking. And as the kids say, it glitched, and we can't put it out tomorrow. Something happened to the recording. However, with that being said, we did an interview of a friend of Nicole's, about her weight loss surgery journey, since I talk about that as a New Year's resolution. And it's a great interview. We were going to put it out as an extra episode next Monday, but since we're having a problem with our episode, we're going to play that for you now. And then next Monday, we will play our whole New Year's resolution episode. I hope you enjoy it. Jen is amazing. She told an amazing story. And then next week, we'll hit all the details of weight loss surgery so you can understand it a little better. Happy New Year, and you'll hear from us next week.
We have Jen here, who I've known for a very long time, and she had a gastric bypass 6 years ago. So we're going to have her share her story, and I think we'd like to start with, what was your decision to do this? What was the final straw you were like, I got to get this done?
So my decision was long. I looked into it 4 times in my life. Prior to, the 4th time is when I decided to actually follow through with it. First time I was 25, had no insurance, was doing it primarily not to get healthy, but to find a husband. Doctor said, unless you are sitting on like 15 grand that you want to hand to me, you're probably going to want to go get insurance. Well, I was a hairdresser.
That's a lot of money, huh?
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
A lot of money to get healthy.
So I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to do that is if I get married, because I need somebody with health insurance because I'm a hairdresser. So that's how that went. So, and then we were trying to get pregnant. So I met my husband, and he married me even though I was fat, and he's overweight too.
Man.
Well, he is a wonderful man, but he was overweight too. So we were like 2 chubbies off and running. And we were. So
what are you looking at?
He's adorable. Yeah,
he is. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah, he is. And then we tried to get pregnant and faced a lot of infertility problems. And the first doctor I went to took one look at me and my BMI and said, I absolutely won't work with you. You're such a high risk. I'm not. And he told me I should leave the office and go. The girl that worked for him, his secretary, had gastric bypass. He introduced me to her and said,
That's some bedside manner, huh?
You should go and do this and lose weight, and then you probably won't need me anyway.
Okay.
So I left. I cried. And which I'm not a huge crier, but it was that's a punch in the gut.
That's a huge hit to your
So then I went north of Boston to a place that a hospital I'd never been to before, and sat through their info session. And I looked around and I saw a lot of people very overweight. And instead of identifying with any of them, I just compared myself, and I wasn't on a walker. And I didn't have really any health issues at the time, except for the fact I couldn't get pregnant. I didn't have an oxygen tank behind me. So I was thinking, I'm not like these people. And I talked to some girlfriends, and they said, if this situation was reversed, the whole infertility thing, you would tell us immediately to get a second opinion. So that's what I did. And I got a second opinion, and the doctor worked with me. There were some tricky factors because of my weight. None of them with like the medication, but when they ended up doing egg retrieval, they didn't want to put me under because they were a clinic. Mm-hmm. So the first one I did awake, which I was only the second person to make it through that.
That's painful.
Yeah,
That's
it
painful.
was. Yeah, it was. The second anesthesiologist, when I needed my next retrieval, took one look at me and he said, "What did they do to you last time? You're fine. You have a neck." He was a big dude. I knew right away he'd knock me out. I knew right away looking at him. I was like, this is my guy.
He probably had more experience too.
This is my guy. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I made it through that fine. We ended up having twins in October of 2008. In 2010, I went for the 3rd time to an info session, brought my husband with me. We left. He thought it was an absolute cult. It was ridiculous. He was
Really?
so mad. He was so fucking mad. Matt hated the doctor, hated the people, hated everything about it, didn't want me to do it.
Could he specify what he hated?
He just thought it was a cult. He thought it was like a big bag of lies and that they were just surgeons trying to make money.
Interesting.
And didn't understand why I wanted to do it.
So he wasn't supportive at all about it?
No. That was like end of the summer, beginning of the fall of 2010. And my husband ended up having a stroke October 30th, 2010. So, needless to say.
They're young. We're not talking this guy's like
he was
80.
like
They're
41.
young. They were young.
But he had other stuff. He actually said he'd come on if you ever want to talk about stroke and open heart surgery.
Well, we'll talk about that during stroke month.
Yeah, woo.
He had open heart?
Yeah, because he had a ASD. So they had to catch his heart. So, after. So.
I just wanted you to say hot again.
Hot. Guess where I'm from.
No.
So, needless to say, because of all that went on in his recovery at the time, the big gastric bypass got blown out of the water. So, luckily, after the open heart surgery, he recovered. He recovered from the stroke, all that. I think for 2 weeks didn't eat during that time. And then I ate like it was my job. I was stressed out. I had 2 little kids. I have my own business. I had a husband recovering. So I was overweight before, but when I say I easily put on 50 pounds after that. And fast. I feel like fast looking back.
Well, the older we get, the quicker it goes on.
Well, true. And I just couldn't handle it. And yet I wanted everyone to think I could handle anything. Right. It's just the way I am. So I was approaching my 40th birthday and the kids were almost 5 and I was almost 40. And I couldn't keep up with them. I couldn't do so many things. Mm-hmm. I was so tired all of the time. And I was sick of feeling like shit. I didn't think I could go on an airplane. I had to ask for a seatbelt extender.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I could take them to Canopy Lake or, miraculously I could take them to Disney because Disney has the best seatbelts ever.
Yeah.
I don't know why airplanes can't hook up with like Disney technology to like
airplanes are economy.
Accommodate like fat people, but
I need a can opener to get out of my seat. I just went on a trip and I was like, it was so tiny.
Yeah, ridiculous. So anyway, I went to actually the first doctor that I had originally seen when I was 25 because he had the best recommendations that I had heard in the area.
So you had done research. And
I had done research kind of all along, mostly before the third time. That got blown out of the water. So I have a ton of people in my life that had it, people that I was really close with that like family to me, really good friends. They were super successful. I was envious and jealous and I wanted what they had. So I talked to my husband. He was way less angry than he was I think he just knew that I was serious and I think he knew that we both needed to do something.
Yeah.
And
the stroke was probably a big wake up.
I just said to him, like, I can't go on like this. I'm exhausted. We work so hard to have these kids. I'm not giving them a good life.
Right.
I'm not, and they're going to go to school and they're going to get made fun of because of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kids are mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Kids are mean.
You're right.
If you're going to be mean, that's one thing about, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too tall, you're too whatever. Kids are always going to find a thing, but I don't want to be your thing.
Right. I don't want to give them something.
I don't want to give anybody ammo against my kids. So I went in. It's a local hospital. It wasn't one of the big hospitals in town. I do know people that have had work there and very successful as well, but I felt very, very confident in this doctor. And I went in and I listened to every single thing he said and his staff. I did everything by the book. And so October 7th of 2013, I had my gastric bypass.
What do they prepare you with? How do they counsel you? Like, what do you do before you have it done?
So I had to meet with a therapist to be cleared, to make sure I wasn't crazy, and I fooled her. So, you only had to meet with her once. And then I met with a nutritionist. But I've been on every diet in the world since the age of 7. Yeah. 7 was the first time I walked into a Weight Watchers meeting.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. I literally have been fat since birth. 10 pounds, 4.5 ounces. I was like 6 months old when I came out of the womb. I was 23.5 inches long. They kept saying I was
walking, chewing gum.
Seriously, it was like, where's the baby? That's the baby. No, that baby's 6 months. Where's the new baby? I was as big as my mother's like 5 feet nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, she looked like a tiny shrunken thing holding this robust baby. But yeah, so I had been on every diet. I've gone to countless nutritionists through the years. So she didn't really tell me anything I didn't know. And I like to think that I knew everything. And I like to think that I did everything right. But obviously, being over 350 pounds, you're not doing something right. Something's wrong.
Right.
So anyway, I felt like I needed the help at that point. And it was one of the first times in my life that I actually reached out and said, like, I can't do this on my own. Because if I could, I would have.
So day one, you come out of anesthesia. Now it's a whole new life. What are we looking at?
Only water for the time in the hospital. First it was IV, and then it was sips.
How long were you in the hospital after?
I was in the hospital. So I had the full bypass. It was laparoscopic, but it was the Roux-en-Y full bypass, which is what he recommended, because I had been overweight my entire life. So he said the bypass part was really crucial for me, because that keeps your absorption at bay. So if you re-stretch your stomach at some point, you won't ever absorb the amount of calories, even if you start eating more. So I came out, I felt pretty good. My hospital stay, hospital stays are hard. You got like random people in the bed next to you.
And you have 2 little kids at home too.
I got 2 kids at home. I was worried about going through it, but honestly, it was not that bad. I had 5 little punctures in my stomach. They were sutured and glued, I think. But like no staples. They weren't huge. They didn't hurt that much. They were pushing Dilaudid into my IV, and I was like, I don't need that. I was retching. That was awful. Like, I just don't do well with that. So they even took me off that very quickly. So I think I was in the hospital. I went in on a Tuesday. I came out on a Friday.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now life at home.
And I guess a lot of people at the time anyway, were still in a lot of pain at that point. And the doctor came in to discharge me, and I was like stretching over like the back of a chair trying to unplug like my phone charger. And he's like, I guess you're all right. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Can I get the heck out of here? So yeah, I went home. The kids, like I said, they were almost 5 at the time, so they weren't infants. I didn't have to pick them up. They were very happy to have me home. I was exhausted to a point. Like I had, multiple things in my life. I had an accident when I was 19 that I shattered my face, got that put back. Like it wasn't my first time with surgery. I had a C-section, when I was 35 with twins, came through that, went back to work 3.5 weeks later standing. I'd never run into major problems. And it's not that it was a major problem, but I was like, I couldn't do anything. But that was the nutritional piece. That really didn't have to do with like the anesthesia or like the healing.
Because you're getting nothing.
It was nothing. It was, very thinned out protein shakes. And I had like a sip and a half,
and you were
maybe. Full. And I was like, I'm going to die. Like, I feel like I'm going to die.
Really?
Yeah. It's
just so full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're
And like,
eating
I
nothing.
kind of want to throw up. I don't think I should throw up. Everything's, rerouted.
So what's the first solid food you had?
Well, I mean, it's not really solid, but pudding. Yeah, sugar-free pudding. I could have it, I don't even remember, like a month out maybe.
How long did it take before you could start eating food?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
want to
how
say
long-
probably 8 weeks.
In that 8 weeks,
And
how
that
much
was
had you
like
lost?
scrambled eggs.
Ugh. 8 weeks is a long time.
Yeah. So October 7th, I went in weighing, I think 330. I had been 352 at the highest. I went in weighing like 330. I know that I did a wedding in January for a client up in New Hampshire, and I attended the wedding because I'm friendly with her. And I know at that point, I weighed 250.
So you lost almost 100 pounds in like 4 months. 80.
Well, yeah, like 80.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's,
Wow.
yeah. Like, I was checking off all the boxes, and I was supposed to lose about 20 pounds a month. And it makes it easy because you can't eat, but also I wasn't going to be the person that didn't hit the mark.
Right.
So I was very aware. I was weighing myself all the time to make sure I was hitting the mark.
That's stressful.
Well, yeah.
That's stressful.
It's, that I put on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like insane.
So, side effects. If you need to take a break and take a drink, go ahead, because we can pause it and he can edit it. That's what his job is. What is going on with your stomach? I keep hearing like your stomach's hungry. All right, then I must be hearing shit. I'm sorry.
Like literally.
That's why I'm like, what's going on with it?
What was the question?
What were your side effects?
Oh, my side effects. So I still throw up. I threw up last night.
Are you kidding?
I'm not.
6 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't like that at all.
So
what is it that'll trigger it?
First I thought it was chicken because it was every time I ate chicken in the beginning. And then I realized it wasn't chicken. It was how I ate chicken. Because you have to eat incredibly slowly. I'm not a slow person. I don't do anything slow.
I would be lost
I'm
because
from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I like to multitask. I'm a mother of two.
Yeah.
I like to get shit done.
Gotta eat, gotta get out, gotta do shit.
Absolutely. So sitting down with a napkin at a table and chewing every bite to oblivion is very difficult for me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, you know, it's a lot of time. So if you eat too fast, if you don't chew properly, it cannot go through the bottom of your stomach, which is a tightened hole that leads to the next part, stomach. And I literally can feel it get stuck and it can't go through. And it feels like I've swallowed a cinder block.
Oh.
And the only thing that can
It's throwing
happen is to get it back up.
Oh, Manischewitz. Manischewitz. Nope. So
that was the biggest,
what are trigger foods like chicken?
Chicken was, it still can be. And then like last night I had 3 bites of ice cream.
So dairy.
I think it's the sugar. So can I eat sugar? Yes. Can I have a Hershey Kiss? Yes. Can I have more than one Hershey Kiss? No.
Really?
Not at a time. And there's something about ice cream, although when I say I loved ice cream, I loved it. I wanted to be like Mrs. Ben and Jerry. I can't. And that's part of why you do this.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's certain things you can't really complain about because you wouldn't have ended up on the table
Right.
if you could control your eating of the Ben and Jerry's.
Right.
You know, so, So I had like 3 bites because I'd taken my kids and, they were full and I didn't want to throw it out. And I wanted a bite. Like, I wanted a couple bites and like, ice cream, a bite of soft serve is like, you think it's not that big of a deal. And sometimes I can have a bite or two and it's not that big of a deal. And I just think I screwed myself and had the third bite.
That last Jimmy. And
it was Jimmy's. There was Jimmy's on it. It was Jimmy's with
Jimmy
twist. It was so good going down.
Were they chocolate or rainbow?
They were chocolate.
Oh,
my favorite.
I'm dying for you.
So, yeah. But that didn't go well. And then, I was like, and ice cream's weird because it's not stuck. So, but I think that's why I get that dumping syndrome. So that's what that's called, is when you eat too much sugar. You literally kind of feel, I don't know, I've never had a heart attack and I don't want one, but that's what I imagine it. It's like you sweat, your heart pounds like you're going to die. It feels like one of those cartoons where the heart comes out of your chest, but it's like, that should sound good. And there's nothing you can, so I was like, not to be gross, I was retching, but like nothing actually came up because there was nothing to come up because I think it had already passed into my bloodstream.
It just triggered you out.
And but it was like I was gagging. But in that case, it wasn't something being stuck. It was just the sugar. Yeah. So you can't do that.
So throwing up is one.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
For somebody who would rather chew her arms off than throw up.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I mean, I don't know. Like in the beginning, I just figured it would pass, I figured it would be like, okay, well, this might happen until I get the hang of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's 6 years in. Either
I
got like rocks in my head or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's less. But yeah, I don't eat Chinese food anymore at all.
At all?
Nope. Can't. Rice, nope, cannot eat rice. Not even a friggin' grain.
Really?
Not one grain.
Expands.
Yeah.
It expands in your stomach.
Pasta, the same thing?
I can have pasta every now and again, but it's just, number one, you're supposed to stick with your protein. And if I'm not nourished correctly, I look back at pictures when I was losing my weight and people are like, you look so great. I look like, I don't even know. I had like 12 strands of hair.
So this is
3 of them were my bangs.
I remember you through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And your hair was the only thing that I was like, wow, her hair took a hit because you have fantastic hair.
No, I have really thin hair.
No, but you always have it cut beautifully. I always love your hair. And even when you were losing it and it wasn't, I knew it wasn't where it should be, you still had it looking good. But that's the thing.
Thank you, but I think you might be fibbing a little bit.
But that's the thing I noticed. I was like, her hair took a hit.
Yeah,
that's what
it was
noticed.
Bad. It was really, really, really bad.
So what happened to your hair?
It falls out. It just falls out. And when I talked to the doctor about it, the doctor explained to me that you're in such a state of malnutrition that your body uses all of its nutrients that it's getting to keep your heart pumping, to keep your brain
suffering.
Functioning. Things that it doesn't need, like hair.
What were your nails like? The same thing?
I don't really have that great of nails anyway. But yeah, they were thinner and more brittle.
Interesting.
And my hair texture was weird. It's not that it was just falling out, but it was very dry. So, but you have very minimal fat in your diet too.
So you can't eat any fat. Could you eat fried foods with fatty?
No. Oh my God. I ate a clam once on vacation in Maine.
Because he's so good.
One time I had a clam. Sounds sick, right? Yeah. Nope. Ate it off. And I wanted that so bad.
Never again.
Bad.
Never
nope.
Again.
No thanks.
Did you throw it up or it just killed you?
Oh yeah. No. Right in the bathroom. And my whole family knows now. They know the look on my face. And I don't say I'm going to the bathroom. I go, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And they're the kid's like, oh, mama. And I'm like, I'll be right back.
I'm going to visit my nail again.
And the water comes in. It's so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling well. Oh, that's gross.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah. So we have hair. We have vomiting. It's great.
Yeah. My teeth have taken a hit, and the doctors don't 100% know why, but I've always had great, strong teeth my whole life. And the last 5 years, I've had more dental work.
I would think that would coincide with the malnutrition, though.
And
the vomiting.
Well, right. And I've said that, and I've said the gastric bypass, and I brush my teeth constantly. But my mouth is a lot drier too. That's the only thing I can say. Like, I just don't think it helps. I don't know if that's the cause, but it definitely, I don't think it helps.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
So when I have a big piece that I want to add, a big piece.
It's all you. I mean, you tell what you want to tell.
All right. So before I had this, and looking into it all these times, like I said, I'm a very successful person. Went to college, then went to hair school because that was always my dream. Opened up my own business, wanted a husband, found one, married him very quickly.
You're driven. You are driven.
I'm driven, wanted kids. No, you can't have kids. Screw
I'm going to
you.
fuck you. I'm having kids.
Yep, I'm having kids.
I got 2 now. How do you feel now?
That's right. And like I said, the weight I couldn't do by myself. And with all the people that I did have kind of around me that had the surgery. I had one girl that I knew that died.
She died after the surgery?
Yeah.
As a complication of?
Not directly. She started to she started to pick up alcohol and pills.
Oh.
And she was a dear friend, and she just couldn't get a handle on it. And so that brings me to my issue with the gastric bypass that I was well aware of because of my friend who I lost. I lost her the summer I was pregnant. So that was like the summer of 2013. So it was fresh when I had the surgery. I'm sorry, 2008. 2008. I was going to say, because this is before you had No, I'm sorry. It was about 5 years before my surgery. But that was one of my things, like, I'm not going to have the surgery because I'm not going
that way.
It's switching addictions is a huge, huge problem for people that have this surgery. And
this is a side I've never heard of. Like,
yeah, so it's pretty common. And they do talk about it. They don't. So back to like the beginning of the surgery, and you asked me like what I did. So, I had to meet with a nutritionist. I had to meet with a counselor. I had to go to the support groups, which is basically a sales pitch. I've been to enough now to realize it's really not a support group. It's not like a bereavement support group where everybody, shares their experience. It's a sales pitch. And I know because about a year after my surgery, I was asked to speak. And how I was asked to speak and why I was asked to speak is because I looked so damn good. And I did. Yeah. And I checked off all the boxes. And I was, his superstar and his success story. So, you go to these quote unquote support groups, but nothing really substantial goes on there other than the sales pitch for them.
Okay.
And I know, I'm grateful for the doctor.
For that surgeon in particular or for
gastric? All of them. Okay. All of them, because I've been to several now. So it's not just him. He's a wonderful surgeon. He is caring, but he's also doing his job and getting as many people on that table and making the money. And there is, I think, a lot of people that become speed bumps in the process.
Yeah.
I think that the going into it and the aftercare, I think the mental part is a huge thing. And I do have some mental illness in my family. Not that, we're Irish and Catholic and we don't talk about that stuff.
Look at we're all around Boston. We all have a little bit in our
so
family.
We just don't, we're fine. So after I had it, my life got real. It was life on life's terms for sure, because it sure as hell wasn't my terms. And it got scary and bad really fast. So October of 2013, I had the surgery. I wasn't eating food yet when my mother had a heart attack the next month. And then my dad,
the very next month your mother had a heart attack.
Yep, November. She had a heart attack. And my father really didn't know how to deal with it. So I stepped up as I usually did. And so, I'm running the business, taking care of the husband and the kids, the house. My dad was already sickly. He has had vascular problems and a host of comorbidities, mostly due to his drinking as well, and smoking prior in life. And unfortunately, we lost him in February 2014. So within like 3 months, I had, one have a major heart attack, and then the other one died and left me. And
that was tough. I remember that happening.
And it was like, I've been through so much in my life. And again, I don't like help, and I don't, I was like, I'm fine. I got it. Shit happens. I'll figure it out. I didn't know how to figure it out, especially without food. Food is like my best friend. It was like
you have to find a new
there.
coping mechanism.
I had no coping skills whatsoever. I don't know if I missed that day in school.
It's not something people teach.
I don't know. I don't know where I missed it, but I missed it. So you're not supposed to drink for like a full year. And nobody really explains why. They just say, stay away from alcohol for like a year. I literally picked up my first drink 3 weeks after surgery because it was liquid, and it was clear liquid.
And you could keep it down.
And I could keep it down. It made me feel good.
Does it make you drunker quicker?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I have 2 sips and I was like already buzzed. And already thinking about the second drink. So over the last 5 years, became an alcoholic.
Oh.
Slowly but surely. And that was nothing that, I drank in my 20s, teens and 20s, like party girl. But the last 5 years, up until July of this year, has been a horror show, and my life's become like completely unrecognizable. And I don't really feel like I would have gone that direction if it weren't for the surgery.
Do you think you would have gone back to food and
absolutely
gone that direction?
Oh yeah, I might be dead. I might be,
right.
400 pounds in like a double wide casket. I don't know. Do they have double wide caskets? They must, right? I'm not saying I would have been healthy. And my husband completely hates when I say this, but nobody put me in rehab for being 350 pounds.
You're right.
And that's the truth.
You're right.
But overeating doesn't cause the problems that alcohol can.
Absolutely right.
So, that's a true statement as well. So I will say that I found AA, and not to get all preachy and stuff, but their 12 steps have taught me more about myself in 5 months than
it's the therapy you needed.
It literally, I've sat in so many therapist chairs since my 20s and on and off medications, and I still have a therapist, and like that's, helpful to a degree. But what you need is to fill that hole that you're trying to fill with something.
Right.
Food, alcohol, drugs,
whatever.
Sex.
Yeah.
My husband would be so thrilled. You know what I mean?
Or would my husband love it? Sex was my issue.
Whatever it is, gambling, shopping, we've all got a thing. Some people can still have a thing and kind of do it responsibly and walk that line. I have no line. That you draw a line, I like jump 10
So now that you're sober,
yeah.
Now that you're thin,
yeah.
How are we feeling?
Scary, like an infant that doesn't know how to walk. Yeah, real scary.
Are you finding new coping mechanisms?
I'm trying. Yep, I'm learning every day. A lot of meditation, prayer, which I stopped. I was, like we went to Catholic school, right? I'm a good Catholic girl. I believe in God. I believed in God, but after everything that happened and losing my dad, and I was real angry at God. Like, I don't want to make this like all about God, but I just think that without letting, and I don't care what you call it. You can call it higher power, like you can call it the tree outside. I don't give a shit what you call it. I just think that you need something bigger than yourself.
I totally agree with
to
you.
help you out in life.
I totally agree with you.
And you need help in life. Everybody needs help to some degree.
Right.
And God, do I hate that.
Well, and you can't be afraid to ask for it when you need it.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Jen, that is quite a story, my love. I can't thank you enough for sharing with us because, there's people out there who are either thinking about having it done, are going through some of the issues.
Well, I was going to ask, would you do it again?
I would, but I would pay way more attention to the and I knew about it. I just thought that it would never happen to me. And it was such a slow process happening that by the time it was bad, I couldn't get my own handle on it. And I think that I would have done more if the doctors were not going to get me more help right away and support right away. I would try to find that. As I'm in recovery now, I have met so many people in this position. I think that I've said this before, but maybe not on air, but I can pick people out of a crowd. And that includes AA meetings. I can look around and go like, you had gastric bypass and you had gastric bypass. I could do the same thing with hairdressers. You're a hairdresser. You're like, they're my people. You know what I mean? It's like, I can absolutely find them. And, they all ended up in the same place too. Now, not everybody that has the surgery is going to go down that road. And I was very fortunate. The surgery was a success. Like, I didn't have any major issues. I have other girlfriends I have one girlfriend in particular. She had hers very early on. It was the bypass, but it wasn't laparoscopic. It was the big cut. And she's had 30 surgeries since then. 30.
That's ridiculous.
So, I mean, I feel lucky on that. And I can move and I can go to Disney and I can fly in a plane and I can do yoga and you
look great.
I'm way more bendy and I look great in clothes.
Great.
In clothes.
Well, don't we all look great in clothes?
In clothes.
Any woman who's had kids at this age, we have to wear our clothes well.
Yeah, it's different.
All right, I'm going to ask this. If it's too personal, you don't have to answer it. What made you decide to go to recovery? What was the final?
I didn't have a choice. My husband was like, absolutely.
He had it.
We are not we are done. He was not, but if I did not get help, we were not going to make it. And that's how he had to be. Cause like I said, I'm not an easy person. And I'm not rational and I'm stubborn.
And I'm sure when you're drinking, that's not any better.
No. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Nope. So yeah. So I do wish that I had maybe found OA when I was heavier. And maybe even before the gastric bypass, not to say I still wouldn't have needed that, but I think that the internal help just makes me feel more at peace.
Well, because you're eating for a reason. You're drinking for a reason.
Right. And I really think that, maybe not everybody, but certainly myself. I can't speak for everybody, but there are so many people that are in this position of being just trapped in their own skin and they don't know what to do. And like anything that you become addicted to, no matter what that is, you need it. You maybe didn't need it at first.
But now you do.
But now you do. And whether it's a certain level of sugar in your body, for your brain, or, alcohol, or drugs, or, whatever it is, you need that in your body.
It doesn't take much for your body to decide it needs it all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. My comorbidities going into the surgery, I was borderline diabetic. That's gone. My blood pressure ran high, and average to high. Now it's low to average. And I will say when it's low, I know it's because I'm dehydrated. My joints are better. My knees are better. I'm not, my sciatic is better. Everything in my life, physically
is better,
has been better. So would I do it again? I think I would do it again. But, hindsight being 2020, I would absolutely take more steps to not,
Well, it seems like
being
now
in
you're
a detox and a rehab's not that much fun.
I can't imagine it would be.
Yeah.
But I imagine now that they've stripped away the fat, you're addressing why you were there to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy step.
Nope.
Nope,
not at all.
Well, you're pretty courageous for doing it. I gotta tell you.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I mean, I've known you through the whole process, and I never knew any of this. You hit it very well.
Yeah, I'm a good
Not
liar.
that that's a good thing, but you hit it very well.
Now I'm just telling the truth all over the place.
But that's how it's supposed to be, so people don't know what to make of me because I'm like, this is it. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Love it or
I always
leave
came
it.
across like that, but
I
didn't really ever tell people.
Yeah, but you always
the
came
real
across
truth.
like you had all your shit together.
Yeah,
you had all
I
your
got
boxes
nothing
checked.
together. I got nothing together.
But you know what? This is what, does anybody? I hate watching Facebook when the mother sent her kid to school with the fake book with
Yeah,
the bento
fake book.
box, and I
Yeah.
made cookies for lunch. Bullshit you did. You're laying in your pajamas like I am, barely keeping your shit together, and hoping to God your kids have to stay after school for something so you get 5 extra minutes. So don't, I'm so
right.
tired of this Facebook, and everyone who's like trying to compare with that,
Yeah.
please.
It's all fake.
I can't be
and
bothered.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
And I think at least half the people don't have their shit together. I think maybe there's a few.
I'm going to say
that
more
that's
than
the
half.
case. I don't know.
I'm gonna say more
I
than
like
half.
to think there are some normal people out there, but I could be wrong.
But
I'm not one of them.
I think
That's all I know.
everybody's struggling with something.
Yeah.
Nobody
sure,
is
for sure,
perfect.
for
Nobody's
sure.
got it all together. And I think the people who try to put out there more that they have it together,
They're
are
the
people-
worst,
They're
I
the
think.
worst.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
like
the
the
least
worst
likely to have
culprit,
their
yeah.
shit together. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So here I am.
Well,
Don't have my shit together.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're all okay with it.
This is my circus. Those are my monkeys. I still don't have it together.
But thank you for sharing that with us, because
Yep.
I know you've been through a lot.
Yes.
And,
thank you. Thank
you
you
may
for
help-
having me.
you
I
may
was
have that
very-
one
I felt very
person.
honored.
well, you may have that one person that you can help.
You know, I
it's-
would
it's-
like that. And yeah.
We'll have some phone numbers out.
I
and
was
stuff.
going to say, I am on Facebook, and anybody that does listen that has a direct question, you can always
They can come through us. We'll get it to you, and you can reach out to them.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's I know there are a lot of people out there, especially this time of year. I mean, this is on the New Year's resolution episode. So a lot of people are like, let's go to the gym. Let's get this done. I want to lose weight. I want to do this. You have to know what's involved. You have to know what's coming down the road. And I also know you quit smoking. So that was the part I'm doing. So I'm sure you quit smoking, sir. You're addicted to one thing or another, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you quit smoking. So, I mean, you've hurdled a lot.
Yeah.
So stay away from the ice cream and we'll call it a day. No more Jimmy's for you.
Yeah, I'm definitely not having any tonight. I know that for sure.
So thank you very, very
You're
much
very
again.
welcome.
Have a wonderful
Thanks,
New
ladies.
Year, and maybe we'll have you in a later
Scissors
episode.
and scrubs all day, all night. Scissors and scrubs.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.